Hey there, and welcome to another edition of InsideHockey.tv. I'm flying solo today. I'm Kevin Greenstein, here to talk about a culture of disrespect in the National Hockey League. Looking around the league the last few weeks, we've seen a number of pretty dirty hits delivered on National Hockey League ice, and all of them, to some degree, have shown a complete lack of respect from one player towards another. We can start off with the hit by Matt Cook, delivered to the head of Marc Savard. Savard had just released a shot, and Cook absolutely leveled him from the blind side. Cook wasn't suspended for the hit. The Bruins, on Thursday night, delivered what you could call a little bit of retribution in the form of a fight. Sean Thornton fighting, taking on Matt Cook. But at the end of the day, I think Bruins fans left the game displeased, feeling as though vengeance hadn't been served. Look again. You've got James Wisniewski taking down Brent Seabrook. Another ugly hit. Wisniewski was suspended. Do the fans feel that they've gotten their reward there? Brent Seabrook, one of the best defensemen on the Chicago Blackhawks, a Stanley Cup contending team. The loss of Seabrook could be costly. Wisniewski, not a critical player. Now, let's look at Alexander Ovechkin, one of the stars of the league and ostensibly a player who should be on the lookout for hits against, instead delivering one to Brian Campbell. The two players skating around the end boards, and Ovechkin shoving Campbell in an awkward way, sending Campbell tumbling headfirst into the boards. An unbelievably dangerous play by Ovechkin that he played off saying it was unintentional. It was incredibly dangerous, and the shove, without question, was intentional. Finally, Steve Downey coming up on Sidney Crosby along the boards from behind and the side, taking Crosby down with a leg twist that very easily could have completely destroyed Crosby's knee. Downey, a repeat offender, showing absolutely no respect to one of the game's brightest stars. If Crosby had been injured on the play, the suspension for Downey would have been severe, and the beating that he would have received were there no suspension probably would have been pretty severe as well. Now, the problem here is that there's consistent actions by players on the ice that show no respect for their opponents. And if you look back, there's been some history of this kind of thing happening before. But when it's happened before, the results have been far different. Let's look back, the late 90s. The Colorado Avalanche are on their way to a Stanley Cup in their first season in Denver. And on their way to that Stanley Cup victory, Claude Lemieux delivered an absolutely brutal behind-the-back boarding hit to Chris Draper of the Red Wings. The Avs did go on to win the championship, but the next year, with Brendan Shanahan in tow, things changed very dramatically. The Red Wings took vengeance on Lemieux, and that rivalry turned into what has been one of the greatest hockey rivalries of all time. Fast forward nearly a decade later, right before the lockout, Steve Moore takes out Marcus Naslund with a hit that, while dirty, wasn't premeditated. The Vancouver Canucks were angered. Brad May declared there's a bounty on Steve Moore's head. So Todd Bertuzzi takes a vengeance on Moore. After Moore had already fought in the game, Bertuzzi levels him from behind, drives him headfirst into the ice, ends Moore's career. Bertuzzi is suspended indefinitely. And meanwhile, after the lockout ends, Bertuzzi returns to the ice, a shell of himself, and Brad May signs with, you guessed it, Steve Moore's Colorado Avalanche. So where one incident 10 years earlier had yielded one of the greatest rivalries in National Hockey League history, in this particular situation between the Canucks and the Avalanche, we instead see one of the key protagonists in the situation, Brad May, who declared the bounty, switching sides. So let's look ahead here. Why is this happening, and whether is it going to keep happening? I think it will keep happening. And the problem is that the collective bargaining agreement between the owners and the players breeds disrespect. There is absolutely no connection in this CBA between one team's payroll and another team's revenues. And the reason is because the large majority of National Hockey League revenue is generated locally. As a result, you've got this situation where the players are fighting for every dollar. And if you're on a team, let's say the Washington Capitals, the way that you've got to look at it is $1 for Alexander Ovechkin means $1 that Mike Green is not getting, or $1 that Nicholas Backstrom is not getting, because the team is capped at a certain amount of money, and there's only so much to go around. Now, the solution the National Hockey League implemented for this whole situation is that they would actually raise the payroll every single year by a predetermined amount, even if revenues didn't allow for that raise. This way, free agents would be able to collect pay, and all of the players would then have the escrow taken out of their paychecks. Alexander Ovechkin, remember him from that hit before, is actually taking exception to this. He's got his contract, he's got his money, and he doesn't want to see his money taken down by escrow. So as a result, he's saying, don't raise the salary cap, don't leave room for other free agents to sign contracts. Instead, make sure that I get as much of my salary as I possibly can. And as long as there is that I, me, my attitude with regard to player compensation, you're going to see the disrespect rise, not fall, as the seasons progress. And this is in sharp contrast to the Olympics, where the players were playing purely for the passion of the game and the love for their country, where we didn't see any of this happening on the ice. Thank you for joining us for another edition of InsideHockey.tv. Hopefully next week, my ailing tag team partners, Tim Rosenthal and Mackenzie Lavoie, will be able to join me again. Have a great week.